First Kings chapter 3. So verse 4. Now the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. And then later on we'll read, the Lord asked him, ask, what shall I give you? And then Solomon is going to talk about he does not know how to lead the kingdom, basically. And he's going to ask for wisdom. So what is good about King Solomon is he's looking at himself. He is reflecting. He understands what God has asked him to do, or what his purpose is being king, what his office is, and he's trying to do it to the best of his ability. Now, some people, you don't know what you want. And the things you want, when you get it, some people say, when I get this, I'm going to do this. So when I get that, I'm going to do that. And when you get them things, you still don't do these things. So you have to be honest with yourself. You need to really know what is your strength and what is your weaknesses. And sometimes the way to really be guided is to have your mind and your heart in line with what God wants you to do. Some people, your desires is taking you away from your purpose. Solomon's heart was pure. His ultimate thing was he didn't want money, he didn't want riches and long life. He wanted to be able to serve God properly. He wanted God to teach him how to do things wise, how to do things properly. Your heart needs to be aligned to what God wants you to do. What is your purpose? What is your heart desire? Is it in line with what God wants you to do? Not your selfish desires, but what God wants you to do. First Kings, Solomon's wise judgment. Then the other woman said, no, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son. And the first woman said, no, but the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son. Thus they spoke before the king. And the king said, the one says, this is my son who lived, and your son is the dead one. And the other says, no, but your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one. Then the king said, bring me a sword. So they brought a sword before the king, and the king said, divide the living child in two. You see, you have to trust God. God works in mysterious ways. Can you believe that God would say, do something as serious as to split a child in two, but through that process, you will see that child is saved. And another thing we see, there's people going through grief, and grief is so powerful that they're willing to take another child for your desires, the thing that you want. Are you willing to do any amount of evil because you lost something or because you want something? She was willing to have the other mother go through all that worry, go through the anxiety that her child might die. But God has your back. Trust the process. Trust the mysterious ways of the Lord, and you will be saved.